Today we will be learning Daf Lamed Aleph Lamed Beis. In the Mishnah, which was on Daf Lamed Aleph and Aleph, we had a whole list of types of foods which you can use for the Eruv, the Maya, Maiserishin, Shnittel Tremasa, etc., and which things you cannot use for an Eruv, which have to do with the Froshes, Trumas, and Maises. Basically, so some you can and some you can't. The Gemara is going to go through them and explain what is the Chiddush or what is the reason that they cannot be used. So we already spoke about the Mai, and the reason was given why we permitted to make the Eruv with Mai, even though one cannot eat Mai, because since it's the Das Bishil, it is Chozilach the Aniyim, Oni is permitted to eat the Mai, so therefore potentially he's also able to be an Oni. If he wants, he can be Mafkin and Chosim, he has the potential to be an Oni, therefore he has the potential that he should be able to eat from the Mai, from the Eruv which he put, which is made of Mai. The next, this is 4 lines down from the top of the page, the Maiserishin Shnittel Tremose. So the Maiserishin, they say that when you're giving the Matanas, the Kohen, the first and the Levium, the first Matana which you mafresh is Truma, you give it to the Kohen, and later comes Maiserishin, which you give to the Levi, and from Maiserishin itself, the Levi has to take off Trumas Maiser, which is a tenth, and give it to the Kohen, and then you have Maiser Sheni. So the Mishnah says Maiserishin Shnittel Truma. So if you've taken the Truma, so then that means you've taken the Trumas Maiser. You took the Truma, you took the tenth of the Maiser, and which the Levi got the Maiser and gave a tenth to the Kohen. You're allowed to use that for an Eruv. Now the Gemara asks, Shita, so the Pasha, it's permitted to be eaten. The Levi gave the chelik which was supposed to be given to the Kohen, so therefore it's edible. So what's the chiddush that you can use it for an Eruv? It says like that the Levi came and he came early. He came when the Tvua was still in the Shibolim, still in the stalks, and that's why he asked the Balabas to give him the Meiser. The Levi has an advantage because you give a tenth of the crop, you give to the Levi. Now, so if the Kohen comes first, you give 2% of the crop to the Kohen. So therefore, only 9.8% of the crop is going to go to the Levi because you only get 10% from what's left after the Truma has been taken. Whereas if the Levi comes early, so he gets 10% of the crop. So therefore, he has a full 10%, not just 9.8% of the crop. The kids are, so let's say Levi came up, took 10% of the crop. Then he gave 10% of what he took, which is like 1% of the crop. The 10% of what the Levi received, he gave to the Kohen Trumas Maiser, that he did already. But not lament Truma Gedolah. But since the Truma Gedolah has not been taken from this crop, Truma Gedolah has not been taken because he came before the Kohen came, and Truma Gedolah is what you give to the Kohen. So therefore, since Truma Gedolah is not taken, so that's the problem with this. Nevertheless, you are permitted to use this Meiser for Eruv, and that's the Chiddush of the Mishnah. And this relies on the din which Rabbi said. The din which Rabbi said in the name of Rabbi said in the name of Maiserishin, which the Levi came early before the Kohen came, and it's still in the field, it's still in the Shibolim, in the stalks, and then the boss gave him the Maiserishin. You don't have to be mafresh Truma Gedolah. Shnei, because it says in the pasuk, from the Maiserishin, you should take up Trumas Hashem Maiser min Maiser. You should give a tenth from the tenth, which you give to the Kohen, the tenth from the tenth. So the pasuk says, so the Maradash Maiser min Maiser, you should take a tenth from the tenth. But from the Maiser, you don't have to take the Truma Gedolah as well. So if you missed out on, normally Truma Gedolah comes first, but if you missed out on Truma Gedolah because it came before the Kohen, nevertheless, you just give the Trumas Maiser and you potter from the Truma, and that's why you can use it for an Eruv as well. It's Rabbi asked Abaye, that's the case. I feel like the carry nami, even if he came if the Levi came before the Kohen when it was already made into a pile, when he made it into the tvua into a pile and he thrashed it and everything, and it's all in a pile. So also that that he should be part of the Levi should, since the pasuk says the Levi only has to give meiser na meiser, 10% of what he gets. So therefore, you should not be obligated, even if it comes before the Kohen, when it's at a later stage, when the crops already been thrashed and it's all put into a pile. Also, he should be part of the Levi should be part of from giving the truma. And we just said no. He said when he came, when it was still in the stalks. It's only then when it's still in the stalks and he got the meiser at that stage that that he's part from the truma. So the Gemara says, so he answered back. Amalei, so Rabbi answered back. Pasuk says, "Mikol Masechta Perimas Trumas Hashem." Another pasuk which says, "From all your mices, you should take Perimas Kol Trumas Hashem, all the Trumas Hashem." So therefore, the pasuk which tells you have to take all the Trumas, both Trumas Meiser, which is the 10% Levi gives, and also the Truma Gdola, which they also has to be given. Even from the Meiser, you have to give the Truma Gdola. So the Gemara says, "Well, Myra is, I mean." So where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line that when do you have to when is the Levi obligated to give the Truma Gdola, which he missed out on because he came early, and when does he not have to give the Truma Gdola, which was missed out because he came early? The Gemara says, once it comes into the decree, it comes into the pile. You've taken the seeds, you thrash them, everything, and you put them in the pile. Once you put in the pile, it's already called dogon. So once it's called dogon, then it becomes a chiyuv, because the pasuk says reishis the goncha. It says concerning the truma, that the pasuk use the word reishis the goncha. So beforehand, it's not the name for it is not dogon yet, still in the stalks. When it becomes dogon, then you cannot escape giving the truma gdola by giving the Levi before the Kohen. The next thing, which says the mission of Ma'aser Sheni, the Hegdish, you can give it Eruv, you can have Ma'aser Sheni, which you're supposed to eat in Yerushalayim. So it can be if you pay the Ma'aser Sheni, that means that the money will go. You pay the value of the Ma'aser Sheni onto money, and that money will be later used to buy food in Yerushalayim. But then, meantime, in the interim, you can have the Ma'aser Sheni. You can have yourself. You can eat it outside Yerushalayim, so you can use that for an Eruv as well. Hegdish also has a din of pidyon, slightly different. Hegdish you can't have any anal whatsoever. But once you paid it, so you paid the Hegdish on the money, so the money will go to Hegdish, and the item which a person was Magdish, let's say it was Magdish a basket of fruits, so he paid the value of it, and the money will go to Hegdish, and that Kedusha goes on the money, and the fruits that is able to eat. You can use that for an Eruv as well. That's what the mission tells us. So the Gemara says Pshita. Once you paid these things, so it becomes chulin. The Gemara says that he didn't complete the pediyah. What does that mean? That he gave already the keren, the money to keren, but he didn't give the chaimish, because to be paid, you have to give the keren and the chaimish. So it teaches us that even though one is obligated to give the chaimish as well, one has to give the chaimish to set aside the chaimish for Ma'aser Sheni, and similarly also to set aside the chaimish for Hegdish. But in a chaimish ma'akev, it's not ma'akev, and the pediyah is, even it's not yet set aside the chaimish, it's not me'akev, and the Ma'aser Sheni and the Hegdish are considered, they were padui already. And the next part of the Mishnah says that you cannot use for the Eruv, you cannot use tevel. Tevel is before you've given any truma or any maestros. So the Gemara says that the tevel, the shita, of course you can't use tevel. Nobody can eat tevel. Tevel is not roy lachile, neither a kohen nor a Yisrael. Anybody can't eat tevel. So first you have to be mafresh. That's when you separate what goes to kohen and what goes to Yisrael. Before that it becomes tevel. The Gemara says like tzricha, the tevel told midrabon. The tevel is only midrabon. It's not tevel deraisa, but it's tevel midrabon. Why is it tevel midrabon? If he planted in Eretz Yisrael, he planted in a flower pot or similar, which is not, that's not a hole, because if there's a hole in the flower pot, therefore it's considered mechuba lekarka to the karka Eretz Yisrael. Since it's mechuber l'karka der Yisrael, mechuber from Smaisa the rice. But since it was it's an otzer shein nakav. Otzer is the flower part for the otzer, which does not have a hole. Not have a hole, so therefore that's not the derech of how you plant things, and therefore you are part of midaraisa. You are part of from giving trumas ma'asos. It's only midrabanan. So even though it's only also midrabanan, so nevertheless, if you use it for a native, that teva it doesn't it's not effective. Another thing which the Mishnah mentions that you cannot use for an native. We're talking about Erev Tchumno. The label Ma'aserishin Shloimit and Trumos can't use Ma'aserishin which a Truma was not taken. So it seems that the Trumas Ma'aser wasn't taken. They didn't give the 10. It seems the intention of the Mishnah is that the 10, which the Levi is supposed to give the Kohen, he didn't give. So of course, if he didn't give the 10, then it's not edible. You can't eat it. You have to be mafresh. It's like tevel. You have to mafresh the Trumas Ma'aser. Only then can you eat it. So of course, it's not effective as a native for the native. The Gemara says like tzricha that we're talking about Trumas. It does not mean he didn't take the Trumas Ma'aser. The Levi came before the Kohen when it was ready at a later stage, not the early stage when it was installed. When it was ready in the pipe, we need to learn Trumas Ma'aser. We're not learning Trumas Ma'aser, and he did take it. It was mafresh Trumas Ma'aser. The only problem is, not the Truma Gdela. The only problem is he didn't give Truma Gdela for the Kohen. The Truma Gdela, which is the first Truma, he didn't give the amount necessary for the 2%. That amount he didn't. It wasn't mafresh. So, but I just thought that this like Rabbi said that even at a later stage, if the Levi comes before the Kohen, he's not obligated to give the Kohen his portion, which they missed out. Kamash Milon, that's the chiddush of the Mishnah. The Mishnah is that if he did not give the Truma G'dayla because the Levi came at a later stage. If it came at an earlier stage, the Levi and Seder, then you can use it for an Erev, as long as it's given his Trumas Ma'aser. But if he came at a later stage, even though he gave the Trumas Ma'aser, nevertheless, he cannot. But since he didn't, he preempted and did not give the Truma G'dayla. So as long as he did not give the amount necessary for Truma G'dayla, you cannot use it for an Erev. Why? Because he came at a later stage. Also, you can't use the Erev Masechta or Hegdish, which was not redeemed. So Pshita, of course, then you're not allowed to eat this. You have to eat your slime, you can't eat that all in the case of Hegdish. He was paid it. He didn't make a deal. He was paid it. He wasn't paid like he's supposed to. What was its example? Meiser Shepoda Agava Simen. So the Meiser, he was paid it, and a Simen means a coin, which it's a silver coin, but since it has the weight of silver and the value is the same as the coin, but it has not been stamped with the tzura. It has not been stamped yet, so it's a blank coin. So the simon is a blank coin, and so what's wrong with that? It has a value, so it's money. Sigmund says no. It comes to being paid the Ma'aser Sheni, you must put Ma'aser Sheni. You can only be paid the Ma'aser Sheni if the kesef has a tzura. It has the tzura on it. Okay. Hegdish. What's Hegdish? Hegdish is no such din that it has to have a tzura. It's unique to Ma'aser Sheni and to Rabbi. So what about Hegdish? What Hegdish? He made the chil agav karka. So he was mechal of the value not on money, even though normally we say shaveh kesef kesef. Therefore, you can use you can Hegdish, for instance, you can be paid on metaltalin instead of if the person was magdish fruits, let's say, and he could have paid this on a bit of furniture with metaltalin. That's fine because shaveh kesef is kesef. But he was paid it on karka. He said let this karka, the value of 100 pounds, become kodesh, and the fruits which I was magdish, the kodesh should go away. So that does not work. You cannot be paid the Hegdish on karka. We learned that from the pasuk. We're not kesef kom loy, and this explains that it's probably a cloud or prata cloud. It has to be similar to kesef because it's not. You can use other things as well. But the cloud or prata cloud, and therefore karka is excluded, and you You cannot be mechalel the hegdish on karka, even though it has the same value. And therefore, the Mishnah. That's why the Mishnah. That's the chiddush of the Mishnah, that even that which you were pointed about, since it wasn't done properly, it's not chal. That those, even though you did do it, and the things and those items do have value, it's not chal, and you cannot use it for eruv. Says the Mishnah. Somebody sends the eruv to the chereshet v'kot, and normally chereshet v'kot, these people are not shaykh to be a shliach; they're not considered a shliach. So he sends it. They're not mechuyev b'mitzvahs. So he sent the eruv. You go to cotton or similar, and told him to go put it in that place, and that'll be my eruv. Or is somebody who doesn't believe in eruv. The Gemara later explains, talk about kusi. It's not an eruv. The eruv is not effective. But if he told somebody to take it from them, this is eruv. So if he told somebody, listen, I have this eruv which I gave to this kotan, and they take it from him and then put it over there in the right place. So then it is an eruv, even though he didn't give it directly to the other person. Now the person took it from somebody who's not fit to make the eruv. Nevertheless, it's a good eruv. Okay, the Gemara says the koton loy. The koton is not. It doesn't have the ability. The koton doesn't have the ability to make an eruv for somebody. When a koton gave us eruv, that when you come to eruv chaseiros, you have the eruv chaseiros. So the way it works is that the point of the eruv chaseiros is that you have a number of different private properties, and they all join each other, and there's some of it which so they all become partners. That's the concept is that they all become partners, and every chotzer belongs to all of them. Therefore, they're not separate chotzeros. They're all one chotzer because it all belongs to everyone. So, and how to do that? They do that by putting the bread into one of the houses. So, but doing that, they're showing that all their bread is going to one house. It means that this private house belongs to everybody else. So, and the same is for the rest. So, and the cotton, you can put it into his house as well. The cotton has a house, so you can put it into his house, and it's considered a good eruv. So you see that the cotton is able to participate in the eruv. Sigma says the kasha kaberu v'tun kaberu v'tzeus. So the way Rashi explains that that you don't need a proper kinyan. It's just you have to sort of show that everything belongs to everybody. That's enough. You're able to carry from one chotzer to another. You don't need to actually make a kinyan. So therefore, a cotton, even though it can't make a kinyan, but nevertheless, he can participate in this eruv chaseiros. When it comes to eruv tchumen, that you need to be koine shvisa. You put that, and then you're koine that place as that place is your place to where you're resting there. It's your place because that's where you're resting Shabbos, but it becomes your place koine. Your koine shvisa. Therefore, since the concept of eruv tchumen is your koine, you have to actually make a kinyan. Therefore, the cotton doesn't have the ability, since it's under Bamitzah, it doesn't have the ability to make a kinyan. Tosfos gives an alternative pirush that by eruv chaseiros, since there is no posik, it's not based on there's no asmachta on a posik. Both the eruv tchumen and eruv chaseiros are midrabanan. The whole din is, but eruv chaseiros is not based on a posik, because in the pasuk you only have carrying from Rosh Hashanah, which is Rabbi, not between different Rosh Hashanah. So there is no base in the pasuk step. It's a more lenient darabanan. It's a more lenient darabanan. Therefore, we trust the cotton and to do the right thing. We trust the cotton to do the right thing. Whereas eruv tchumen, since it's a darabanan which is based on the Raisa on a pasuk, it's based on a pasuk. It says al yetzi ish min kaimei. Since it's based on a pasuk, so therefore the Chachamim were more strict, and they don't rely on the cotton that he should do the appropriate the thing, the correct thing. May not put it there, etc. We don't rely on it. That's a question on reliance. Okay, so anyway, so we have the two ways of understanding this piece of mark. Maybe on one hand, it was not made an error, so therefore we say that if you give it, there's not. If it doesn't believe the error, he cannot make the error for you if you ask him to put it in a certain place. It's not effective. So man, who is that? We're talking about a kusi. The kusi doesn't have the ability to make it kosher error. So, but the Mishnah says, but if you gave it to, you didn't give it, you gave it to Chereshet of cotton, and you told somebody that they should take it from him, and they should take it from the cotton and put it away in the correct place for the Erev. So then it is an Erev. That means even though you do not give it directly to that person, nevertheless, it's good. The Erev is effective. So the Gemara says, so they should be, so we should worry. Maybe the cotton of Cheresh won't give it to him. He told them they should give it to this person, but maybe they won't give it to him. So how can he rely that they actually gave it to him? Maybe I don't know, they threw it away. How can they be relying on that they actually give it to the person? It says, but he sees. So just sorry, just like Rabbi said in another place, that the person is watching what's happening, and he sees the cotton, give it over to the other person. So here's also the Mishnah. Also, we will learn that is talking about that he sees the cotton of the cheresh or the shaita, they're actually giving it over to the other person to make the shliach. So the Gemara says that maybe he won't. Maybe he won't take it from him. One side means that he won't actually make the erev. That person, maybe that person won't make the erev. I should be chayshish that okay, he saw that the cotton gave it to him, but maybe that person he took it, but he didn't take it. Maybe the person who was a bardas, maybe he took it from the cotton, etc. But he doesn't intend to go ahead and make an erev with it. And the chash over here is the more than if you start tell a person, it's a bigger chash. If you tell a person to do something with proper agreement and everything, yeah, you give it to him and he takes it. Takes the responsibility, the sense of responsibility that at that point, it's more reasonable that you should rely on the person that he will do it and put it in the place where he's supposed to. But here, when the person took it just from some idiot, okay, he sees from a distance, he sees what's happening. So there's not so much a sense of the responsibility on the person who takes it, on the shliach. Doesn't feel such sense of responsibility. So how can you rely on the shliach actually putting it in the correct place? So he says, we bring in the Chil, he made a statement that there's a chazok shliach since he asked him to do it. So therefore, we can rely. The chazok rely that surely he did what he was asked. So just like Rabbi Chil said it in a different place, so also in our Mishnah will say the same thing. So the Gemara says, where did they say this? These two dinim, chazok shlichusi, and the other one is about so why did they say that? So the Gemara says it was a price. It was price. Tanya and the price not to appeal. He gave the aid to a monkey, and the monkey not sorry to an elephant. Nosla appeal gave it to an elephant, and the elephant took it to. He trained the elephant to take it and put it in that place. Trained the monkey that the monkey should put it in that place, and they gave it to the monkey. The monkey should put it there. His aim is the Erev. That is not an Erev. If he told somebody to take it from the elephant or the monkey, is an Erev. So it's an Erev, and it's an Erev, and yeah. So there, when we learn that price, we ask the question: maybe the elephant actually give it. He took care of it before they got the person. So it's same thing for the monkey, the elephant. Yeah, properly. It says that he saw it on Reb Chizda be'em brave. So that's when Reb Chizda said that he actually saw him giving it to the monkey, giving it to the person. Maybe the person when he took it, he didn't take it as a shliach to actually put it away in the right place. So right. So that's what the statement was said. Rav Nachman said, "B'shel Torah ein chazaka shlichus. B'shel sefer chazaka shliach ein shlichus." Rav Sheshes Amar echad zeh chazaka shlichus shlichus. So we have that machlekes between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. Is this chazaka of shlichus shlichus only to be relied upon in the case of the Rabbanan, but not the case of the Rais? So that's the opinion of Rav Nachman. But the Rais, you cannot rely on the chazaka shlichus shlichus, and till you see they did it, and according to Rav Sheshes, but the Rais and the Rabbanan, we rely on the concept of shliach.